Hey Zaka family! Zaka is launching an exclusive membership platform to provide you with career development workshops, coaching, community, and so much more. Go to ZakaConnect.com and sign up to receive information on how to access early registration and perks. Hello, everybody. This is Paul Herman, the Prince of Motivation and host of Zaka Presents My Journey. We're creating this vulnerable and positive platform where you will get inspired and motivated from different leaders from our community. Today, our guest is Kevin Valley, who is a Chartered Business Valuator. Kevin, welcome to the show.
Thanks a lot, Paul. It's awesome to be here, man.
The pleasure's all mine, and I know we're gonna get into this Trini because I know Trini to the bone is a big thing. We got to know a little about the culture and everything. But before we dive into a little bit of what you do now currently, but Kevin, just give us a little bit of understanding of your cultural background and what does it mean to be from Trinidad?
Yeah, man. So Trinidadian, born, raised, still live here. I move around a bit, but I'm still based here. Man, no place like Trinidad. I mean, of course, like except for like other islands and stuff, but culturally you have that. All right. So on one side, you have those two main political parties, right? And I think it's common through many Caribbean islands, right? And people are very strong advocates for their political party or whatnot, right? So very political people, and it could seem separated like that to an extent. And in some islands, there could be slight, racial separation, especially like, through the Afro-Caribbean community as well as the Indo-Caribbean community in some islands. But then you look at things like carnival and the fetting culture and the party culture and the drinking culture, the rum culture and everything is like they put all of that aside when it's time to have fun, when it's time to relax, when it's time to socialize. So this together as one sort of personality. Yeah, that I think that is the most succinct way that I could describe the Trinidadian culture.
I'm gonna chime in on that. I think that you are 100% right because everyone talks about going to Trinidad for Carnival. That's like a massive thing. It's like the journey to Mecca. People, we gotta go. We gotta go. There's only one thing we gotta do in our lifetime is go to Trinidad. So you are right. Yeah, it's sad that the politics and stuff is there, but when music and culture combined, the unity in is so powerful, and Bob Marley was very big on that. So I'm glad that the Trinidadian community and culture is big on that. Like now, growing up in Trinidad, what was one of the things that you wanted to be as a child, like growing up? What was that lifestyle for you?
So I think this is where you and I might have something in common, right? So
okay, let's go.
Like I was telling you, I listened to your interview where Greg was interviewing you today, and I was like, hey man. As a child, I wanted to be a star. That's it. I wanted to be a star. I just knew to myself, hey, I want to have big impact on a big stage somehow. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean, hey, yes, I want to be a billionaire. Everybody wants to be a billionaire, right? But it's not that the billionaire status is at the forefront of that goal. I always envision myself either on a world stage, singing, dancing. No, if I could sing or dance, I would never step foot in a bank. Or I wouldn't be what I am today. But that's another story. Or scoring the winning shot in a basketball play or something like that. But I was only decent at a high school level, and that's it. And then I hit my knees and that's it, so basketball career is gone. But, so now I have to take the business route, the entrepreneurial route into achieving that goal. But yes, I always wanted to be a star, to have that big impact, that big legacy. And I think it also comes because my father had a big impact and a big legacy where I'm from in Trinidad. My father was a very well-known politician here. He died in 2011, but in 2019, yes, thank you. In 2019, he was awarded this, what we call a Shakonia gold medal posthumously for his contributions to the country, its economy, and trade throughout the Caribbean and whatnot. And just last year, we're naming a new development here in Trinidad after him, at least a new street there for that development. So that sort of legacy that lives on past you. And I mean, you said let's be vulnerable on this podcast, right? Growing up, I've always been known as Ken Valley's son, right? That's Ken Valley's son over here, you know. But when I think about my children, I want them to be known as, yes, Ken Valley's grandchildren, yes. But there's Kevin Valley's sons, Kevin Valley's daughters, Kevin Valley's kids, right? So I always wanted to be unique and create my own legacy, have my own startup as well. You know, I think you would have wanted that as well.
Well said right there. I know it's hard sometimes living in somebody else's shoes, you know, but they, you know, your father did pave the way for you, and it's kind of giving you a little bit of those gems to kind of help, you know, develop the individual that you are today. And that's why I want to kind of dive in and talk about what are like some of those values that you cherish, you know, from Trinidad, and, you know, some of the things that your father probably gave you that you implement in your business.
Well, I'll say two things. So, and people who listen to me know that I say this all the time. My father had this quote that he would say all of the time, and, you know, we've made it the mantra of the foundation that we created, we built in his name. He had this saying that life is a loan that you repay through your service to others, right?
And drop a gem. Come on, Dad. Come on, drop a gem. Listeners, if you out there listening right now, you better write that down.
Right? Life is a loan that you repay through your service to others. Now, wasn't his original quote. I think it's been said before, but it is something he lived by. You know, as a public servant, you know, he really embodied that. He really embodied that. And in seeing his dedication, you know, working those long hours, you receive that briefing in the evening. He stays up by the kitchen table, and he'll deal with that till late in the night, early in the morning, and then get up and go to Parliament in the morning. That sort of thing. Go to his constituency office to see people in the area on weekends and stuff, on Thursdays and weekends. Help them out with whatever they need. Take money from his pocket sometimes to help some of his constituency needs. That sort of thing. You know, for me, it showed me that, I mean, yes, I want to be a star, but that is really more, it's bigger than that. It's bigger than my own selfish fame, right? It's not about being a star just because, hey, look at him, you know, he's handsome, he's sexy, he could dance, whatever. No, I can't do any of that, right? But being able to provide value for people, being known for providing value for so many people that, you know, that their hearts are drawn to you for that reason. Yeah. And a second quote that I love that I heard today was, again, from the interview I heard today, that in looking for people to partner with along your mission, you want to find people that are just as passionate as you in their own craft and make a connection. You know, so of course those words are from the father of Paul Herman.
That's right.
But, yeah, I heard that, and I paused this and I wrote it down immediately. I said, no, man, I need to take a note of this, because that is brilliant words. You know?
Yes, I was telling my father always, he was a wise man. He wasn't able to go to college, you know, as immigrant fathers and parents, you know, sometimes they're not able to get that higher education, but he was always big on, you know, some type of message, right? And I think those messages, you know, our fathers is given to us, you know, it's kind of like helped us, you know, craft our journey. And now, I know that your father was a big inspiration on your life, but who else inspired you to be like an entrepreneur and to get into business?
My brother, actually. Okay. Yeah, just a little bit more into my family. So, you know, we have this running joke that the Jacksons do music and the Valleys do finance. You know.
Wait, so how many siblings you got now? Talk to me.
I have 6 siblings. Siblings. Yeah.
and none of them sing.
No.
The Valley 6.
No, you don't want to hear that. You don't want to hear that.
Let's go.
And if you try to do a choreographed dance, somebody will get injured. You know, but But however, we in at least my older siblings and I sort of looked at it and took after them. They very achieved in the financial realm in terms of investment banking and that sort of thing. So finance professionals. And my brother Kerwin, he owns two companies actually. KCL Capital Market Brokers, which is a investment banking boutique that I used to work for, and Aspire Fund Management Company, which I'm also a partner of. It's a private equity fund management company based here in Trinidad. All right. So looking at how entrepreneurship changed Kerwin's life and how he operates and everything, and how he acts as a leader, I looked at that, and actually, that sort of inspired me to want to, to leave the company and start my own, but of course I still have that, consulting relationship and whatnot. But yes, if I was to say one other person that inspired me, I would say my eldest brother, Kerwin.
And currently, what exactly are you doing now? You're a business valuator. Like, what is that life like?
Yeah. It's fun. It's fun. So if I was to say, like, what is my primary focus, I mostly work with companies that are looking to raise capital. So either you have an investor or an acquirer at the table, or you're looking for that. And I also, as I mentioned, that I'm in private equity as well. I also evaluate Aspire's investee companies. So companies that we have in our portfolio or companies that they're looking to invest in, they'll call me to do the evaluation for that. All right. Beyond that, now just going back to those companies that are looking to raise capital, I also work to help them connect with investors. All right. So because I've built up relationships with a number of institutional investors throughout the region and internationally during my career, and I continue to do so actively. So I also do that as well.
And when a business goes for like that whole process, like how is that run? How does that look like?
Yeah, the business valuation process or the capital raising process?
Oh, I would say the business valuation. Like, sure. How is that process?
So it's pretty straightforward. So first, they would reach out to me and say, Kevin, these are my objectives. I'm trying to raise this amount of money in order to achieve this. So be it to expand my business or what have you. I would say, okay, cool. I would send them, I created a due diligence checklist. So basically a list of information I require from them to conduct the analysis. And that information list, I think, covers 80 to 90% of what most evaluators, investors, and bankers would ask for if they're evaluating a deal. And what that does, it saves a lot of time from the back and forth in that negotiation. So like your listeners whoever try to negotiate a bank loan or investment or whatnot, and the back and forth questions and everything, it could be time consuming. It could be frustrating, for all parties involved. So what the checklist does is that it eliminates a whole lot of that. Once I have reasonable amounts of information, of course we would have signed our confidentiality agreements or whatnot, I will prepare an engagement letter based on outlining the contract of the engagement, and I'll go ahead and proceed to conduct the analysis and get them the report. Once they're happy with the report, we go ahead and finalize and we go to market.
Now, do people normally go to like more than one individual, when doing this process?
For valuations?
Yes. So like they go to you, so the process, I'm trying to just make sure we just truly make the listeners truly understand what that looks like.
Sure.
Like they go to you, but then say they don't like the number. Do they go to the next person? Is it something like that?
Oh, if they don't like my price?
Yes.
Or if they don't like the value. Oh, sorry, they don't like the valuation that we arrived at?
Yes, that's correct.
It's never happened that anybody said, "Nah, Kevin, I don't like that valuation. I don't like that number. I go into somebody else." Nah, it's never happened. I could see how it can happen, right? If they just have this fundamental agreement on approach, but what I do is I make sure and explain to them the approaches that are standard, especially based on my training with the CBV Institute, the Chartered Business Valuators Institute and whatnot. I use those standards. I try to keep everything professional and concrete. So yeah, it's rare that. I mean, they may disagree on number, and then we could talk about the approach for the number, but to actually fundamentally disagree on approach, that hasn't happened as yet. But yes, people might say that the valuation is too low, and I say, hey, this is based
That's
on
what it is. Yeah, I mean,
this is based on the art and science.
It's a hard thing to probably swallow at that point in time. You're like, oh my gosh. Now, for people in our community, like who want to start up their business and then in the process of getting acquired, like, what are like 3 important things that you would recommend that they should look for when looking for funding?
Yeah. Okay. So what I think the 3 things they should have in place. First, you should have a business plan. Right. And within that business plan, you should have the second thing, which is financial projections. And then based on your business plan and the financial projections, you should prepare that pitch deck that you go to investors with. Right. A lot of times we do this in the wrong direction. We say, okay, now let's just get a pitch deck out. Right. And then, well, when the investor asks for more information, then you're sort of shooting from the hip, trying to find the answers. But if you've done the business plan before, because what the business plan does is it makes you think even more.
True. Yep.
Yeah, it makes you really flesh out that idea, really flesh out that value proposition. Right, before you put it out to investors, so it gets you bought into the business model itself, and it also helps give you and your team a blueprint to follow. Right. So so the business plan is not only for the investors, it's also for you. Yeah. So 3 things: get your business plan, get your financial projections in place based on the business plan, and then you do your pitch deck based on your business plan and your financial projections.
And those 3 things in that order would you recommend?
Yes, in that order, yes.
That's a great way of like kind of breaking it down. I think that is the right way of doing it. But sometimes when you don't have that knowledge or information, that educational background, like how do you work around that?
Yeah, I mean, so that's why it's good to engage and advisors. It's good to seek advice. I mean, hey, we're a network. We're social people. It's always good to get the advice of a professional, somebody who knows what they're talking about. And because I mean, you don't want to try and do everything yourself, right?
That's true. And so when you're talking about doing everything yourself, let's talk about business owners right now. Like how on the other end, if you're like a business owner and you're involved in like mergers and acquisitions, like what do you look for?
If you're a business owner involved, if you're a business owner and somebody's trying to acquire you also, or
yes.
Okay. Well, if you're a business owner and you're getting ready to be acquired or funded, I'm assuming that you're a business owner that has been in the game for some time, right? I would say the first thing you need to do is make sure that get some house cleaning in order, right? You want to make sure that you have your operational systems in order, make sure that you have your information ready to present. Because valuation it's an art and a science, right? But it's also negotiation, right? It's also a negotiation with an investor or acquirer. And I've found that the better organized your business, the higher valuation multiple you would achieve from an investor, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
Right? Yeah, it just makes it less of a headache for the investor. So when an investor is going through your data room, going through your documents, and say, okay, well, this is good, this is good. They are more likely to want to pay on the higher end of that valuation range, right? So how do you do this? All right, so we spoke about getting your advisory team together, right? Maybe you get a business valuator, make sure you have a good accountant, you have a lawyer to make sure that you could paper the deal properly, tax advice if need be, HR, corporate governance, what have you, right? Then you go ahead and really assess your management systems, your balance sheets, your financial record keeping and all of that. I mean, all that sexy stuff.
Oh, yes, we know about that. That's when you got to spend hours on hours, to make it just even not even just right, just about right,
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, you can't do everything by yourself. You got to be able to know when to pass those things on.
Exactly. Exactly.
And I think someone like yourself who's seen the world in so many different shapes and sizes and so many different businesses, something that, I want to kind of chop it up with you on is just like, Trinidad, Canada. Like you've been going back and forth, man. Like that's a big, first of all, that's a big difference. Canada, Trinidad, you know what I'm saying? Like two different places, but also just in regards to like the level of like business and structure and also culture. Like what is like two of the biggest differences that you've realized or noticed, going from Canada to Trinidad?
Well, first thing I'll say is that my work in Canada actually has been remote. Of course I've been to Canada a few times. I've just been to Canada as recent as last fall. But how I even got that gig I do in Canada was, was a nice story in and of itself. And I'll tell you it now.
Okay, let's go. Come on, drop a gem. Come on.
Yeah, this is really like the power of maintaining good relationships and whatnot, right? Mm-hmm. So I was qualified to be a Chartered Business Valuator in February 2020, and I would have written the final exam in September 2019. Right, that exam is, oh my God, that is a monster of exam. I actually failed that final exam the first time. I remember during that exam, I had like this, I think it might have been a panic attack. I don't know. Right. But
I mean, you got it all on the line over there. So yeah, of course.
Yeah. So when I was writing it the second time, I decided, okay, Kevin, we are not failing this exam again. So I embarked on this training program. I enrolled in this training program that specifically works with people who are preparing for this final exam. It is run by a lady named Melanie, who runs a valuation firm in Toronto. Program is offered both virtually and in person. So I would be here on Zoom and I'll look at different folks. I'd look at different folks in her conference room while they meet, and we'll do all these past papers and whatnot. And the reason that I'm a CBV today is because of Melanie Russell. All right. I owe my credential to her. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, so fast forward a couple of years, I see that KLX Melanie's company was looking for valuation staff. But I said, well, hey, let me so
slide.
I sent Melanie. Yeah.
Let me go.
So I sent Melanie an email, say, hey, are you looking for staff? I'm happy to to join the team and help out or whatnot. And we negotiated a consultancy. So
and you do this remotely.
Yeah.
That's even better.
Yeah. So it was cool to earn Canadian dollars while living in the Caribbean kind of thing. But which has become kind of normal right now, right? We earn foreign currency while working in Caribbean. It's pretty normal right now, but it wasn't as normal, at least at the beginning of the pandemic. But I think the post-pandemic is like a whole different world, like a whole different world.
True. I'm with you on that in all aspects of life.
Yes. So yes. So in working with company with folks from Canada, it's so different. So Caribbean folks, again, we're social creatures, right? We would jump on a 1 hour meeting and you know that meeting is gonna last an hour and a half. Because we just talk so much, He's like, yeah, how things are, yeah, man, and then maybe about 40, half of that time we spend talking about work, and the other time just connecting.
Yes. And connections are very important. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, that connection got you to where you are right now, getting that job out there in Canada, right?
Right.
But if you don't connect, then you kind of miss out on those opportunities.
100%. Now, meetings with Canadian business owners now. So the meeting may be slotted to last a half an hour. The meeting might last 23 minutes. Because we spoke about whatever we need to speak about. And
that's it.
Yeah, and like trying to end a Caribbean conversation, like, yeah, go on, yeah, and then a Caribbean conversation takes about 5 to 10 minutes. And then a Canadian conversation with a Canadian business owner, it ends like, okay. So once you hear, okay, okay, all right. You just click end. You click end, you know. So yeah.
Okay, no, I get you on that. I get you. That's that corporate, that deep corporate lifestyle where it's like, look, sometimes there's no feeling, no emotion behind it. It's like, hey, gotta go. Thank you, bye. And the Caribbean culture, and I'm glad that you apply that to your job and your life. That's a beautiful thing about being Caribbean, knowing that your energy is always on, it's always up there. So that's why the next question will come up, where I'm going to ask you, like, how do you build trust? You're talking to, as an expert in the field, trust got to be a major factor. Like, how do you build trust with your clients during this time?
Yeah, no, definitely trust. I mean, trust is something that you build over time, right? And for me, it's really simple. It's just showing up every time you say you're going to show up, and doing everything you said you're going to do when you said you're going to do it. If you can't do it when you say you're going to do it, let them know before it is time for it to be done. That sort of thing. Just being continuously reliable. I think
and accessible.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I'm with you on that. Because, like you said, showing up, but also you got to be accessible to show up.
100%.
Everyone's like, "Oh, I'll be there," but then they're not accessible, and you're like, you just missed out on an opportunity.
Yeah,
that's good. Yeah. I get you on that. I like that. Now, what advice would you give to like a first generation immigrant who's in America or Canada, let's just say, right, who still wants to create like passive income in their home country, but don't know how to invest or go about that process?
Yeah, I love that question because also, I mean, and we didn't touch on it just yet, but one thing that I have dedicated my career as has been, especially as an entrepreneur, I want to find ways to attract outside investors to Caribbean companies, right? And I think there's a big market within the Caribbean diaspora. I mean, and I know you're a member of that, so you and Gregory are members of that, so you guys can speak to this. Where folks they want to invest home, right? So I'm working on solutions for that actively. Looking to be launching something soon in that realm. So, I would say, for all first generation immigrants who are interested in investment opportunities in the Caribbean and how to do so in a smart and prudent way, please feel free to connect with me. I love to hang out on LinkedIn a lot, or if not, I could give you my email address or what have you.
I appreciate that. I know they do as well too. We greatly appreciate when our guests are open and willing to, meeting and connecting with our community. I think that's a very big thing, because there's going to be some questions after, this whole interview is inspiring so many people, right? And then when it gets to inspiring, it might spark something in somebody, like, wait, but how do I get that? But the fact that you're opening that line of communication, we greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, because it's challenging to figure out how to find investable opportunities within the region or whatnot. And this is something I've been working at for some years now, just due to my backgrounds and everything, just seeing, even on the entrepreneur side, just helping companies to really put together an investable or highly valuable business proposition.
Okay, loving that. Can you speak a little bit more about the work you're doing with consulting now at KLX?
For KLX, sure. So what I do pretty much is, whenever they have excess valuation work that they need assistance with, I will come in and help with those valuation engagements. So it's pretty similar to the valuation engagements I do for myself here. It's just that I'll do it on as a representative of KLX. But I would say I've worked on a few very cool engagements across there with some very cool companies, very cool industries. One company was in this e-cigarette industry. Another was in the paper packaging industry, and then another one was actually getting ready to get listed on the TSX. So really some really cool transactions. They were nice, intellectually challenging, and I mean, as much as the as I spoke about the 23-minute conversations, I did enjoy. I do enjoy working with the clients across there. It's because there's also that business focus, that kind of cut through business focus that is appreciated.
Okay, loving you dropping some gems right now. You're dropping some gems, and I appreciate that the words of advice you're sharing and the information that you're giving us to the listeners and stuff. Something that I want to highlight before we kind of wrap up on this interview is like if a lot of just think about it, a lot of immigrants usually doubt like investing and starting their own business, right? They first off, they're probably first generation, second generation. They're working for somebody else, but they want to start their own thing. Like, what would you recommend as some way to kind of alleviate that anxiety so that they do kind of push forth and develop something beautiful?
Yeah, I think the first thing is I think a smart and prudent way to do it would be to test it out as a quote unquote side hustle at first. Just try it out on the side, see what happens, see if you get traction. Now, you're not looking for millions of dollars on the side in your first month or so, but see, hey, would somebody buy this? Or, hey, do I enjoy doing this sort of thing? So for me, I was full-time, I was a full-time corporate employee. And I was driven to start a podcast called Caribbean Power Lunch, which has now been rebranded to The Value. I started to do that just based on pure passion. I wanted to highlight Black business owners throughout the Caribbean region, and I thought a podcast would be a nice way to do it. And, it started to show that, hey, entrepreneurship in the Caribbean is a really big thing. The entrepreneurship energy that'll be around every night became contagious for me. Over time, I started another project called Become Investable, which I've since sort of transitioned. And, I mean, since I've just been creating business projects ever since, so I just think it's about just taking that first step. Take that first step, whether it be write the plan, start selling, make the ice cream, whatever's the project. I would say just test it out.
I like how you said it. You test it out as a side hustle first. See how it works, and then from there, following back to those 3 steps. Just in regards to the business plan, working on the budget, figuring out the financial gains of it, and then putting it together in a pitch. Whether you give it to investors or you pitching it back to yourself. So that you could kind of incline that business and scaling and stuff. And I get something I'm hearing in your voice in this interview. You're a very passionate person. Yeah. You're all about it. And it's obviously probably, that culture, the Caribbean culture inside of you, but you come across as very passionate. And I know that you're very passionate about, developing, entrepreneurial ecosystems, right? That improve not only the business, but also the lifestyle. Why is that also important to you?
Yeah, because I really respect the power of business to change lives. And to change lives, to change economies, to change societies, to create jobs, to pull people out of poverty. I mean, we can't all be basketball players or professional athletes or dancers like Paul,
yeah, got a little two step over here.
No, I already got a lot more than that, but
but I haven't done it. I haven't done it in Trinidad and Carnival yet. I'm coming down there.
What?
When I come down, I'm gonna call you up.
All right, yeah, man, you do that. But yeah, so I think business is a powerful vehicle and tool, and I really love business. I love the feel of business, and it also goes back to what I want to leave as a legacy, right? We already crossed off singing. We already crossed off dancing. We already crossed off basketball.
Yeah.
So this is how I want to leave my legacy. This is my gift to the world, and if not to the world, at least to the Caribbean region.
Wow, wow, wow. Yeah, like not even just to like your family. You went to the Caribbean region. Like
Mhm.
you just took over the whole block with that one. He said, I'm taking the whole block with me, right? So Kevin, man, a pleasure, and an honor to have you on the show today. Greatly appreciate your energy, your sharing your love, your passion, and your knowledge with our listeners. Any last words you want to share with them?
Yeah, I mean, just going back to a lot of the questions you asked, like how should people approach things if they have anxiety about it? I would always take a why not mentality. Like, what do you have to lose? Like when I reached out to Melanie in Toronto about joining her, about doing valuations for a company, I was just like, I literally was washing dishes on Thursday morning. I was like, hey, why don't I just send an email to Melanie? Why not? And with the podcast I started, I was like, hey, why don't I do that? And I could not find a reason why not. You know, if the reason why not is because you're scared, then the next question is, what are you scared of? Right? Are you scared of people, of attention? No. I don't know. I don't know what's that solution. Maybe if I was scared of attention, I'll just create the idea and I don't know, let somebody else be the face of the idea or so, But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I just think, why not? I always look at, I don't want to get morbid, but I always think about, what would people say, at my passing, when they celebrate my life, I mean, I want it to be more than, hey, he was a good guy. I would love for it to be like, hey, he did this for this group of people, for this many people. He really left his mark, and his legacy shines on. Sort of thing.
And I'm glad you're kind of concluded on that, because that goes back to what your father said, right?
Yes.
About your life is a loan and you pay it back through your service, and you've definitely been doing that, young man.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Keep living that legacy, keep building your own legacy for yourself, for your family. Again, Kevin, I just want to say thank you so much for just being on the show today.
Hey, thank you. And thanks to Greg, and thank you, Zaka community, for listening.
That's right. And to the listeners, if you want to hear more inspirational stories like Kevin, please check us out at ZakaConnect.com. Follow us on our social at Zaka Connect, and follow our feed, Zaka, wherever you listen to your podcast.